Hey everybody, and welcome back to Felsbrunn Revisited. This is where we are back on the map that we started playing Farm Sim 19 on as we count down to the end of FS 19 and the start of FS 22. If you're new to the series, this series we are playing with only base game equipment and DLC, with the exception of one mod is allowed. That is the no crosshair mod, which simply gets rid of the little round circle that is ever so present in the middle of your screen. We have finally gotten ourselves some harvest or fertilizer contracts. It feels like we've gone through 3 or 4 game days since we started this playthrough and have had some sparing fertilizing contracts, but today is our day. I think there are 4 on the board, and we're going to try to take care of every single one of them. We're making our way up here to the top of the hill. Got this lovely road beside this multi-staged waterfall. We have 2 contracts up here on the hill. Do fields 1 and 2. We've already accepted the contract for 1, so that's where we're going to go ahead and get started. And then we can transition straight on over to contract on field number 2. We are now up basically at the highest point of the map, even higher than the old castle. This video is brought to you by Doughboy2913. Thank you for being a farm baron. So the beauty of fertilizer contracts is they don't take hardly any time whatsoever. Thanks to precision farming, we have our dynamic mini map down there displaying what we've already fertilized and what we haven't. So we should be able to earn ourselves some pretty good coinage in a fairly short amount of time. I'm going to get to the end here, and then we'll turn around and I'll show you all the contracts that are available, and we'll try to sum up the amount of money that we're going to earn back. I haven't purchased any more fertilizer from when we started the play series. So all the expenses are already sunk as far as our fertilizer goes and everything. Let's go ahead and take a look. We've got $3,900, $3,600. So let's round that up to 4,000. We'll round that down to 3,500. So that's $7,500 there. We've got a contract here for 2,600. So that is 8,000. That's $10,000 right there. And then we've got another contract down here for just 800 bucks. Got another contract. Looks like it just popped in. Here we got 1, 7. Oh, that one just popped in. So we're getting even more. We're gonna do good today. We're gonna do real good today with respect to fertilizing money, which is a good thing because we need to expand our coffers, because if we're going to get a harvester, our best choice for a harvester is the New Holland TX32. You know, we could use the little old, what is it? The little old Bison, $84,000. But no, I mean, really, we might as well go to $100,000, $5,000 to lease it, plus the header. 100 grand to buy it. Do I take out a loan and just buy it and then pay off the loan with harvest contracts? Do I lease it? Leasing is money lost, right? If we buy it and pay off the interest, it's probably going to be cheaper in the end to take out a loan and then pay it off as we do as we do contracts and as we sell our grain. We're also going to need a forage wagon so we can collect our straw and sell that. So that introduces some other aspects. Where is it at? Loading wagons. So we've got a $46,000 base game loading wagon. We've got these from the Alpine farming expansion. This is going to require us to have the truck module to go with it. And then we have these 30,000 and 45,000. So those are pretty good options, right? 30 grand for that. That's not too terrible bad. Now, if we go here and take a look here at the Unitrack, $153,000 for the Unitrack. And then we can get all kinds of different modules for the Unitrack. That might be an interesting way to go, because the Unitrack, let's see here, can we see what all goes on the Unitrack from here? What's the brand of the Unitrack? Linear. So we've got just a flatbed, or we could get well, it takes, I'm pretty sure there's a spreader module for it. There's a forage wagon module for it. There's a few other modules for it. But again, that's a lot of money. We've got our tractor investment, so I think we're gonna need a forage the trailer. 30 grand for that, $100,000 for the harvester, and then the header. So we could buy the forage wagon now, outright, and borrow $120-some thousand, $150,000, get our harvester, collect the harvest, sell it, and pay some money back, sell our straw, pay some money back. Now field 7, field 19. So field 7 is down the hill here. Field 19 is by our farm. 7. So let's take a nice windy road down the hill. Now, I'd like to know from everybody, well, this is a bumpy road. Everybody watching, how many of you have played? How many of you spent time on Felsbrunn yourself? Playing. You know, we did, I did all of my mod reviews on Ravenport. It was a slightly adjusted Ravenport where I leveled out a field and made a big placeable area, but overall it was just base game Ravenport on Farm Manager. So none of the buildings were there. And I can't tell you how many times, maybe they were all being trolls. I can't tell you how many times people asked me what map I was on for those mod reviews. Like they were interested, like, oh, that looks like a really nice map. What map are you on? Because I might want to play. I'm like, really? It's a base game map. Do you not know the base game maps? So yeah, this is a nice windy road coming down here from the mountains. Some trees. So I guess there's a decent number of we take a shortcut through there. There's a decent number of people that maybe never played the base maps because I guess they assume they suck. And as a result, they're like, I'm not playing base maps. I won't play Farm Sim 22 until there's mod maps. And then they go and get intrigued and interested in a base map. So, yeah. Curious how many of you just flat out haven't even been on Ravenport or Felsbrunn. Because I tell you, the southern France map and Elm Creek, they look really impressive. Really impressive. To the point that if you're not going to play on those, I think you're going to be missing out on a pretty good opportunity to get a fair amount of gameplay on a base map. And I've talked to this point before. Yeah, because there's been a crowd. Giants shouldn't mess with maps. They should leave that up to the to modders or mappers, right? They should only bother with basically making the game, making the foundation of the game. Well, where do you think 90% of the buildings on most of these mod maps come from? Sure, there's some map builders that build their own models, build their own buildings. There are, but I would challenge you that the percentage that do that are in the minority compared to those that rely on pulling buildings out of base maps, pulling buildings out of Ravenport, pulling buildings out of Felsbrunn. Where do you think the base maps come from? The very first maps that show up in FS22, they're going to be derivatives of Elm Creek or Erlengrot or the Southern French map, which I will never name because I can't say that name. They may not look at all like those maps, but that's where the base map came from. They have to start with something. So they export an in-game map into Giants Editor and then start working it from there. They might remove the roads, change the landscaping around, remove the buildings. But at the heart, they all begin. Pretty much every map began, for the most part, for FS19 on Ravenport or Felsbrunn. At least early on, right? There are ways, I think, to basically make a blank canvas in Giants Editor, but I think early on, very early on, people are taking base maps and tweaking those because there are some, unique changes from each game version. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting my own eyes on the 2 new maps and then the re-envisioned Erlengrot, right? I might go back to Erlengrot a little bit right before 22 drops, just to refresh one's mind as to what that looked like, because it's going to be a little bit enhanced, I think, with all the parallax occlusion mapping and occlusion culling and various other features, new shadows, new textures for trees, and of course they put down new grass, and we already had some new trees on Erlengrot to begin with. And then we already know that we're going to have another Giants delivered map a year after release, based on the season pass information. In the winter of post year 1, we're going to have the first expansion, they call it, that's going to include a new map. Are we going to get a second expansion in winter of year 2 that is going to include another new map? That would be 4 new maps for FS22 over the period of 2 years. That'd be pretty interesting. So we complete this contract. We're going to basically have added $12,000 to our coffers in 15 minutes. Nearly $1,000 a minute, right? When you factor in travel time there. Field 19 and 29. What's that one? Oh, cotton. I don't know about that. So 19 is over by our farm, and 29 is right across the street from our farm. So field 10 has a fairly flat area. That would be an interesting, you could do a farm manager start over here at field 10, take out a loan, and have yourself $2 million, I think, or $1.7 million to start working your land. There's also another nice spot up on top of the hill, on top of the mountain, where you could start a farm up there. Before I go and forget to get a screenshot, I've done a couple of videos where I've forgotten to get a screenshot until after I'm done recording. That's not necessarily so fun. Let's go ahead and grab a screenshot. That looks good. There we go. And I'm not worried about getting 100% coverage because we only need 95 or so % of the field covered. And we should get that. Why is it turned off? That was strange. Oh, I remember a little bit of what happened. So I was, this field had growth happen while I was working that other field. And when the growth happened, a little section of the field didn't fill in. A little section of the growth of the field didn't fill in. So I found that interesting, but then later upon the next growth state, it did fill in. So I think that's what's causing that weirdness. I think I might turn off auto application rate. And just force it. That should let me finish the contract out. It's gonna work. Contract finished. Go back to auto application rate. Turn it on for our field, and we won't have to put fertilizer down on this section of the field, but it will take fertilizer on the new section. That done. Up to $42,000. There we go. Field 29. Is the little field over here on the hillside. And that is gonna do us for the day. So now we're up to $46,000. We earned ourselves nearly 20 grand in harvest or fertilized contracts, right? Am I being a little silly with my count? $16,000 in contract income. We're gonna get another 800 bucks off of this little field. So almost $18,000 in contract income. We can buy that forage wagon with our bank money and own that. We can borrow, I think that's what we'll do. I think we'll borrow money to then be able to afford a harvester. And then we'll buy the harvester and have owned the harvester. Sweet. More. Field 9. I'll take you on. Go back here to do field 9. I'm going to go do some more contracts. They want to keep popping up. I'm going to keep taking them. Because, like I said, we have a harvester to buy. We have a header to buy. We have a grain trailer to get. We have a forage wagon to get. And that'll allow us to basically cycle our field as many times as we need to. It'll also allow us to use our own equipment on maybe some of these smaller fields, as opposed to having to borrow equipment and lose a little bit of money on contracts when the smaller fields don't pay out a whole much anyway. It's still going to be beneficial for us to do borrowed equipment on the larger fields, just because of, you know, time investment and everything. So until next time, happy farming.